finally on air. So, hello, folks. How are you doing? Hey, what's up,
What
Rudy?
up? How's it going, man?
Cheers.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yes. All right, guys. Welcome to Chá Pedagógico, another episode of Chá
Another
Pedagógico.
one.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for watching us, for joining us. We had a little bit of technical uh, glitches some moments
Yeah.
ago, but we're here.
Yeah.
We're here,
I think
right?
everything is working fine now. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's a technology, technology. Yes, Tasia is always here with us. She's
Yeah.
already here with
Tasia is
us.
like the person who follows us the most. So, Tasia,
She's
let
great.
me take a moment to thank you. Like
Yes,
you've been following us
Fabiana. Hello,
forever.
Fabiana. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
joining us in this great yet
Yeah.
amazing yet kind of old. We were talking about being old.
Oh,
Episode of
yeah.
Chapter
We're old.
Fabiana, I'm
We,
so sorry I don't
we're agents
recognize.
of Brad Pitt for being old and looking better than us. Like he's like 15 years older than us. Anyway, yeah,
All right, Fabiana.
yeah,
I'm sorry I don't recognize you. Is this the first time you're watching Chá Pedagógico here with us? If it is, talk to us, communicate with us here
yeah,
in the
yeah.
chat box here. And again, seriously, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This is the third episode of 2026. Today is
Hell
Sunday,
yeah,
March
yeah.
29. And yes, if
Recognize
you're
you. Is this the
here
first time you're
today,
watching
it's because you
Pedagógico here
really
with us?
like
If it
what we
is,
have to talk
talk to
about
us,
today,
communicate.
and we will talk about something
Absolutely.
that's really important, something that's very current. I think nowadays more and more people understand how important it is, the reading skills, especially because there's
Yeah.
been a lot of there's been a lot of guys. Stay here. We're going to talk about a
Okay.
lot of good stuff. I think I'm checking the YouTube link here. There
Yeah,
was a glitch, but I think we're back.
Yeah, I'm just asking, Houston right now. Okay, they told us
The
to wait a
Oracle.
second. Yeah, I think now we're back. I was just checking YouTube, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I think
Okay,
now
yeah, I guess
now
everything
we're
is
back.
back
Now we're
now.
back. Anyway, folks, we're back. That's why I
Yeah.
wrote there.
And by the way,
Yeah.
were they
Yeah.
able to hear us? Were they able to?
I think there
You know?
was a glitch, like a few seconds, but now
Yeah.
it's all good. Now it's all
So
good. Yeah.
so let me go back a few steps. So yeah, now we're back. So
Now we're
Tasha,
back. Yeah,
did you
Tasha
hear what we
confirmed.
were
Yeah.
saying? We were talking about our socials. We were talking about following us on our socials. If you didn't,
Yeah.
well, I can repeat. I can say everything again. So if you
Yeah.
haven't followed us on our socials yet, you can do this. And Andre's handle on Instagram is the Learning
The
Cosmos.
Learning
Follow
Cosmos.
him.
That's it.
Follow me on my social as well. On Instagram, I'm Mattiello Consultoria with double T and double L. Don't forget to follow Disal, which is their handle is Disal Distribuidora on Instagram.
Exactly.
Did I get it right?
I think we
I
always
think
get
right.
it wrong, man. It's
Yeah.
getting embarrassing now because I think it's Gisao.
Now it's not embarrassing anymore. It's ridiculous because we can't.
Yeah.
We simply can't
But
get
I
it
think
right.
I think we got it. We got it. And I'm sure
Don't-
if you just type Gisao Distribuidora into the search box, you'll find it.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Don't forget to follow Ciranda Cultural. Ciranda Cultural is also our partner it's a brand new partner for starting this year. Don't forget to follow them. There's their handle is Ciranda Cultural, and they happen to have an amazing selection of books under the label of W Books. They also have a specific handle on Instagram, which is W, the letter, Books.
Yep.
Super easy. This one's easy to remember. W Books. Super easy.
Yeah, this one is the easiest, right?
Yes,
Absolutely,
exactly. So
right,
you know the drill, you know what you got to do. And yes, if you did this, if you've already done that, then this means that we're good to go, right, dude?
Yeah, dude. And today we're going to talk about another topic that is related to literacy and reading, because as we said before, this is our mission this year, folks. We're going to help rescue or salvage reading, because one of the problems we see as, two interested parties, let's say people who study about reading, cognition, language development, and all of that, is that people are not reading so much anymore. And there are consequences, cognitive and emotional consequences. And I think we mentioned, just to kind of recap what we mentioned last episode, 51% of Brazilians admitted not reading a book. Like, they went by the whole year without reading a single book. And we have people today who actually have a poorer lexical repertoire. And if you think about it, it should be the other way around. Then, kids in the 80s and the 90s, if you think about, okay, we have more access to things. So how can your lexical repertoire be poor or poorer anyway than, kids from the 90s? But today we're going to talk about, okay, so Rudy, when we had that meeting to kind of decide the topic, and then you said, okay, we should call the episode this. So what is going on with people who read a sentence and they read quickly and then they don't get anything and they start promoting things online, right? And sharing. Have you ever felt like that, folks, with your students? Like they read something? Yeah.
Or even worse, not only just sharing. Hello, Adriana. Thank you so much for joining us. But not only sharing, they read the headlines and they think they're the leading authority on that subject.
Yeah, exactly.
They say, okay, now I know everything. I know everything I need about whatever subject the headline is about, but it's only a headline. So tell us, interact with us in the chat box. Adriana, you have just arrived. Thank you so much. So talk to us here in the chat box. Have you ever had a situation in which your students, or even when you were talking to some adult learners, they start sharing whatever they saw based on the headline, and then when you asked your students, regardless of their age, and you ask them, okay, but did you actually read the whole news? And they said, no, I just took a look at the headline. It sounded interesting. And then
they didn't fact check or anything like that. Okay,
yes, or maybe with you, because sometimes we were talking about being exhausted and tired, because we're always on the run. We're always doing stuff. It seems like we never have time to actually sit down and read the news. And I'm talking about the news because books are a little bit different, because there's a lot. There's these the experience is different when you're reading a book, right? Because you have to sit down and you want to have this experience, so you kind of like prepare yourself for when you're going to read a book, when you're going to open your book, and etc. But with the news, I think this. I mean, we're all this can all happen to us, because we're always on the run. So has this happened to you? You read the headline and you were like,
open your hearts to us, folks,
It's okay. It can happen to anyone.
We've done it. I mean, we try to avoid it, but I think everybody has done it, right?
Yes. I mean, we're always on the run. Everybody is is in a hurry these days. Everyone is in a hurry.
And here's the thing, Ben. I was thinking when you said that, because we are part of this thing that was designed to help us do that exactly, which is, I'm talking about social media and the whole, algorithm thing. So basically we are sort of prompt in a way, or primed, to use a neuroscience / psychology term. We're kind of primed to do exactly that. So we get the news via, a post on our feed, right? And then it's just a picture. And maybe there's a headline, like Rudy said, and the visuals make it compelling, or maybe even the institution that shared it make it compelling. And then and I mean, it doesn't even have to be compelling. So compelling for us. So if you have a level of fact checking, then of course you won't share anything from any institution. But if you don't even have that, and then something looks good enough and sounds good enough, you are probably going to share it. And like Rudy said, and you think you know everything there is to know based on that headline before you start, doing some really like a lot of damage, let's say, because you can make things viral, like and before you know it, it's everywhere. And then it's about damage control,
and this thinking about going viral, but of course this has a huge this can have a huge impact, as we've seen these days. But also there's this feeling that the feeling that, wait a minute, you didn't read the whole thing, and you think you
Yeah.
know everything,
Yeah.
you know the whole story based on the headline. And then we have a lot of teachers watching us right now. We're teachers as well. And then you may say, but Rudy, isn't this one of the skills that we practice with our students when especially when we're dealing with language classes, English classes, even Portuguese classes, but basically English classes? We know that there are a lot of English teachers following us right now, and right now and
Absolutely. Yeah.
watching us right now. But isn't this a skill like skimming and scanning? I mean, it's
Yeah.
part of our training. You can say, but Rudy, we took a lot of training sessions.
Yeah.
uh, I mean, learning how to deal and how to properly do that. That's the key point. Properly
Yes.
do
Yes.
that. Because if you say, okay, I'm going to practice the skimming skills with my students. Skimming means what? Okay, you're just going to, or scanning, right? You're going to take a look at the text, and then you're going to find something key for whatever question you got to ask, or for whatever task you may assign to your student. And then boom, okay, that's what I want. I want this. It's like the nucleus of the text, and you're going to be there. You're going to spot this on the text, and then boop, you're going to extract that.
And those are sub skills that go with reading, right? So when you
Exactly.
skim, you're just reading for gist in a way. So just reading superficially to understand what the text is about, right? When you're
Yes.
scanning, you're looking for specific information. So it's reading for specific information. And again, there are many ways, and there are many reasons why you would do one or the other or both normally. So if you want to answer a question about a specific word, a specific question, a specific excerpt of the text, then you have to do scanning, but you have to tell people what the text is about. Then you do skimming, and that should be enough, right? But those are sub skills. They're not
Exactly.
reading. Reading entails all of that and more, right?
Exactly.
There are
And
other skills that we have to worry about,
it's,
right?
as
Yeah.
you said, it's part
Yeah.
of an entire skill, just part of it, because there's some sort of task, as you mentioned, and then you got to go straight to the point and find that specific information, and then of
Yeah.
course you're going to do that. But um, in your classes, I hope this is what's going to happen in your classes, guys. When you take proficiency exams or whatever,
Yeah.
it's not only this. This is basically the first maybe 2 exercises that you have for your reading skills, because then it's, as they say, the tip of the iceberg. You're going to get these 2 pieces of information, and then other exercises that will explore other reading skills will compel. I love this word, compel.
Oh yeah,
It's
definitely.
so beautiful.
It's a fancy word, man.
It's a fancy word.
Yeah.
I don't want to do like the guy that the wrote the essay for USP. Have you read that? No,
Oh
you
yeah.
haven't.
Which guy? I don't
The
know
guy
if I
that read
have.
the essay for USP using a bunch of words that made no sense.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
he got a 0, right?
exactly.
I
He
read a little bit.
failed.
Yeah, he
He
failed. Okay.
failed.
Oh
But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
uh,
No,
so
compel is okay. It's below that. He went far and beyond, man.
oh yeah, man. No, that guy tripped, man.
Yeah,
That guy
he was
tripped,
tripping. He was
man.
tripping, man.
Man, that
Yeah,
guy was in a different universe. But anyway,
yeah,
so the other exercises compel students to go for the whole information.
yeah,
This can be a sub skill for exercise, maybe 1, exercise 2, but then exercises 3, 4, 5. I mean, the deeper you get into the exercises
yeah,
related to the reading skills, the idea is that the exercises are going to make you or make your students read more parts of the text, not necessarily the whole text, but maybe paragraphs and etc., so they can actually get the whole information, and
that's
not
it, man.
just get stuck in the headline and say,
Yeah.
so it's different.
And
It's
and and
different.
you know what, man? I remember, and this rings true even today, right? So when we're studying, there's a name for the kind of subject that we're studying. It's either called reading comprehension or text interpretation or both, or maybe they're kind of part of the same unit or module. And
Mhm.
if you think about it, So reading comprehension goes beyond skimming and scanning, because it's not just understanding, what the text is about in some specific information. That's one part of it, right?
Yeah.
But when you think about comprehension, then you have to understand the facts from the text, and that's minimally, what you have to do. But then there's inference that has to do with interpretation as well.
Yeah.
It's really going beyond what the text brings you. That's why when we studied, Portuguese in school, we had a subject that was, I don't know, maybe it was separate, or it was part of Portuguese or whatever, but it was called text interpretation.
Yes.
And this has to do interpretation, because it's not only what you can see as a fact in the text, but it's also how you use your own knowledge, your prior knowledge. Again, that's very important, folks.
Yeah.
And you connect the dots, like, okay, so this is the text. I understood all the facts, but then you have a bunch of questions that you have to go beyond what the text tells you. And you got to search in your prior knowledge and go like, oh, okay, this is what the author meant here, because this is the only thing that makes sense. You can only do text interpretation if you have prior knowledge,
Yes.
Otherwise you can't do it. And that's what's lacking today. Yeah.
That's it, but that's the thing. And I think what you said is super linked to the episode from last month. And by the way, here's a cut for the oracle, for the little sis to put a card when they are dealing with the video, because last episode we actually talked about these interpretations, because we actually don't have the skills to interpret anymore, and all these things. Basically, in of course, cognitive bias, so to say, we've been shutting down our prior knowledge for some reason. We've been saying, you know what, whatever I knew, I don't care. I'm gonna keep this locked, and I'm gonna throw it underwater, and I'm not gonna revisit that anymore.
Dude, it's even worse. We're not even creating prior knowledge because we're not reading stuff.
No, forget it. But that's the thing. But
enough.
Because but that's the thing. If we only did this, we as teachers, I think it's one of the many responsibilities that we have as language teachers is to do this, to sit down with our students, have them read. And again, when I say read, it doesn't have to be a whole book in, I don't know, 100-minute class, or 4,000 pages in 30 days. That's not what we're saying. But you can select a paragraph and explore the paragraph, and explore your students' prior knowledge. Explore, especially because exploring the prior knowledge is going to be the cue for you to access the new text. Because if you don't do that, many students may say, okay, but why am I going to read this? I don't want to get into the episode from last month, but we use Machado de Assis as an example. Why do I have to read Machado de Assis? This was written, I don't know, 150 years ago. Why do I need to read that? So there's no connection. But that's the thing. Use your students' prior knowledge. Activate your students' prior knowledge. We do this. We are trained. English teachers in Brazil. I'm going to say Brazil because we're from Brazil, but I assume I cannot say in the world, because even though we've had our experiences, we haven't traveled the world yet. We're not Jules Verne. We cannot travel around the world. Yes, we cannot travel around the world in 80 days. It's impossible. But we are trained to do that. We're trained to activate our students' prior knowledge by doing what? The warm-up session, guys, the warm-up session that we always talk about, and that many teacher trainers talk about, many certificates and teacher preparation, whatever courses they talk about. It's not random stuff. It's not something for you to gain to buy time. You do that to activate prior knowledge. The
Yeah.
lead-in aspect of your classes is also to activate your students' prior knowledge, and there is a reason for us to activate our prior knowledge in language. Why do we have to do that? Once
Yeah.
again, when you activate your students' prior knowledge, meaning what they know, not only about the language, but also about the world, you're going to activate your students' prior
Absolutely.
knowledge
Yeah.
as a whole, holistically. All right. And then when you activate that, your students are going to be like, okay, I know that. I know that I have that information. I've read about this somewhere or I've seen this on TV, or I've seen this on YouTube, whatever. Now I'm going to bring
Yeah.
every single thing I know about this subject to the class, because I think my teacher will ask me some questions, and I'm going to use and then I'm going to select the information that I have
Yeah.
related to this subject to answer my teacher.
There you go.
Linguistically speaking, the same.
Yeah.
As you keep using the language, and that's one of the reasons why I think um, usage-based learning is amazing, because it's we learned by using it, which
Yeah.
is, cognitively
And
speaking,
it
that's,
has to, it has to be like that,
exactly,
Yeah.
and then when you have a lead in, or when you have a warm-up session before you actually engage in the new
Yeah.
content, linguistically speaking, because we're language teachers, your students are going to be like, okay, what do I know about the language? What have I learned about the language? Okay, I've learned this, and that. Which
Yeah.
one will I be required to select in order to, do whatever the teacher asks me to do with the language? Talking about
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
Interpretation is the same. When you
Yeah.
activate your students' prior knowledge, is the same. Okay, I know this, and that. Okay, I'm engaged. I'm interacting with this piece of article or this piece of text, and then what do I know? Oh no! And then I don't know if this ever happened to you, dude. But when you're reading, even if you're reading a book, and I have my
Yeah.
Frankenstein by W.
All
Books here with
right.
me.
Yes.
Uh,
Cool.
so when I'm reading Frankenstein, for example,
Yeah.
uh, mentally, I have some discussions with the book. It's as
Oh
if,
yeah.
wait a minute, no,
Absolutely.
no.
All the
In,
time.
in my
Yeah.
mind, I sometimes stop reading and I say, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, 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 wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is not how it would, for example, when
Yeah.
Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein
Yeah.
inputting the brain, he's
Yeah.
having,
Yeah. It's
getting the
putting the parts together to create
exactly,
the
but
monster. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the parts,
Yeah.
but mainly the
The body
brain.
parts. Yeah. The brain.
In
Yeah.
mainly the brain. I
Yeah.
feel like my discussion is, wait a minute, that's not how it would work.
No,
It doesn't
no.
work like
It
this. I
wouldn't
mean,
work like
that's not how
that.
cognition works. That's not how the brain
Yeah.
works. So
Yeah.
when I have this discussion, I'm
Yeah.
bringing all my prior
Absolutely.
knowledge on that subject, not necessarily on how to write books, but about
Yeah.
brain. And I'm having my
Yeah.
brain is like, okay, no, but I stop reading. I really interrupt.
Exactly. I did
And I
that.
have
But you know
mental
what?
discussions with the
One
book.
thing that Mary Shelley got right when she wrote it is okay, if that could be possible, yeah, if we could actually transplant someone's brain into a creature made of other body parts,
Yeah.
that person, the new monster, whatever you want to call that creature, would probably act exactly as Frankenstein did because everything was new, right? Even though
Yeah.
that brain had memories from another person, if you think about it, that would not be activated
Mhm.
the same way in this new body because he needs to experiment with the world. So
Yeah.
everything, but he learned really quickly though, because it was a developed brain, right? So
Yeah.
Mary Shelley, who was, by the way, a female writer born in London, who had amazing conversations with other male writers. Guys, we got to celebrate this woman. I mean, she came up with such an
She's a
amazing
legend.
novel.
She's one of
Yeah,
the
I mean,
legends, man. She's one of the
definitely.
legends.
But
She's
dude,
one of the legends.
absolutely, and you were talking about activating prior knowledge. One of the principles of Tracy Tokuhama Spinoza, the MBE, Mind Brain Education Principles, has a lot to do with that. And there's research showing that. So we connect old information, that's prior knowledge, to new information when we learn. As simple as that. So we only learn effectively if we build new knowledge on top of old knowledge, you know.
Mhm.
That's the best way to learn. And when we're reading, we have an amazing opportunity to do that. Like, you know, I had a book club meeting yesterday. We had to read a 500-page book by Rebecca F. Kuang. She's an American writer who is a Chinese descendant, and she wrote, so Catabasis is the name of the title of the book, and it's a very interesting fantasy book about how a magician, so she's like a wizard, you know, and
Yeah.
she's studying like Harry Potter, you know, she's studying to in Cambridge to get a certificate and become one of the best wizards of the world, you know. The problem is, in an accident, a freaky accident, her advisor gets exploded and goes to hell. And then she has to decide whether she will go to hell to rescue her advisor, because he's the only one who can actually pass her and give her a certificate, right? And then she does that anyway. So I was reading that, and like you said, Rudy, all the time I stopped and remembered my own trajectory, you know, like the master's course and everything, but also not just my own experience, but the stuff that I heard of, because my experience
Yeah.
was okay. I didn't have many, I didn't really have to go through hell, let's say, you know, to get it done. But I know a lot of people, like you do also, you know, a lot of people who went through hell.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we shouldn't say literally, but, you know, almost literally, because they suffered, people who, you know, messed up their mental health and so on to get done, to get, you know, to where they had to go. And that's a very interesting analogy. And the only way I can connect to that at a very deep level is that I have been through the same experience, you know. So I had the academic experience, I heard from other people. So that's prior knowledge that I have, right? So it's easier for my brain to understand what she's talking about compared to, let's say, somebody who's never had to go through an academic experience like that, you know, undergrad or master's or PhD or whatever, because they don't have that experience. Maybe they heard something about it, right? And that's the thing that we do as reading. We bring our own background, our own experiences, what we know. And that's so important, right?
That's so important because this helps us make some inferences,
There
understand
you
what's in
go.
between the line. And
Yeah.
this is a subset of skills for reading, because we were talking about skimming. When you skim or when you scan a text, you're just scratching the surface. Actually, when you read the headline and you stick with the headline, you're barely scratching the surface
Yeah.
because it's only a
You
headline.
saw the tip of the iceberg, and that's it. And then
You didn't even see the tip. You got like a snowball
yeah.
made of ice straight off the iceberg, and that's what you got. Then when you exercise your scanning or skimming skills, then you scratch the surface, then it's the tip of the iceberg. But
Yeah.
there's a lot more under the water. And one of the reasons why interpretation is so important, and one of the reasons why reading is so important, is
Yeah.
to read what's in between the lines, to understand what's written in between the lines. And you can know, and one of the factors that contribute to that is, as we're saying, prior knowledge, the background that we had, that we've
Exactly.
been developing linguistically in life, you know, or life background. But the thing is that the more this can be trained, this can be improved, this can be enhanced, this can be learned, and this can be taught,
Yeah.
you know. And because it's prior knowledge and experiences and etc. I'm going to focus on the linguistic aspect because we've been talking about prior knowledge for quite a while.
Yeah,
For
that's
quite
how
some
important
minutes.
it is, folks, you know. Yeah.
So I'd like to focus on the language aspect of that. Why? The more you use the language, the more you interact, the more are the chances for you to improve your repertoire, to improve your lexical repertoire, for you to improve your construction repertoire. Because, for example, if you live in a bubble and you don't interact much with people, I mean, if or you only interact with people that pretty much use the same constructions as you use every day, there's a big chance that you are not going to get exposed to different constructions. And when you do, if you burst the
Yeah.
bubble somehow or someday, you're going to see that there's more to the world than the bubble you lived in. And then people are going to use different constructions. Then you're going to be completely clueless. You're going to be like, what's this person talking about? This is a construction that I've never seen in my life. I've never used this construction in my life. Okay. So that's why language use is so important, because you have that. Having that, acquiring this improved repertoire of linguistic constructions, or lexical repertoire, well, a language repertoire in general, this will allow you to recognize certain constructions, to recognize certain words. And
Yeah.
again, words and constructions, they're not hollow. There is
Exactly.
always content behind that. There's always a reason behind that. But then you make a connection. It's going to be a natural consequence of having an improved repertoire. Because you have an improved repertoire, you're going to be able to actually connect the dots. Just to give you an example, there is a very interesting book by Oscar Wilde called, I think, if I'm not wrong, The Importance of Being Earnest.
Yes,
You know, it's a
absolutely. Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
classic. It's very,
It's a
very
classic.
famous.
Yeah, yeah.
um, earnest in English, in very old, I wouldn't say very old English, but in old
Yeah,
English, means being honest.
yeah.
An earnest person is an honest person. And the character of the book's name is Ernest. That's his name.
Yeah.
They Oscar Wilde, not even for a second, explicitly said, "Okay, it's important to be honest. It's important to do, to be righteous and all these things," because he never did that, especially because he hated that. That's not Oscar Wilde. If anything, Oscar Wilde was a rebel. He was a
Oh, yeah.
revolutionary. You know, but he
Yeah,
was questioning this morality thing that was going on back in the days when he was there. And anyway, if you have the linguistic repertoire and you understand that earnest being mean honest, you
yeah.
understand why the character's name is Ernest. You
Exactly.
understand another book that I have from W Books here is Animal Farm, another
That's a great
classic.
one. Oh,
One
yeah.
of the one of the
Beautiful.
animals name one of the animals name is Napoleon. There's a
Yes.
reason why one of the
Yeah,
animals' name is called Napoleon. There's a
yeah,
reason, and you're only going to be able to, understand why is the animal called Napoleon.
yeah,
Why is Oscar Wilde's character's name is Ernest, and
yeah,
what's the connection between that and the title of the book, The Importance of Being Earnest? You see, you can only do that if you actually improve your linguistic repertoire. So
yeah.
you need to interact with different people, with as many people as you can. You need to read
Read a
many
lot.
pieces
Yeah,
of,
definitely.
read a lot, exactly, because
Yeah,
it's very hard. We were telling you guys that we're always, in a hurry these days.
yeah,
Even though we can talk to you and we can reach out to you very easily these days, we're doing this right now. Uh, it's
yeah.
becoming harder because we don't have the time to
Yes,
sit down,
yes.
turn on our cameras, and talk to people. I understand. How do you reach out to people all over the world? And this is a technology that's been around us for millennia, I would say. Reading.
Oh,
Reading.
yeah.
That's how you reach out. That's how you burst the bubble, you know, and
Oh,
read.
man. And here's the thing. So it's it's how you develop your linguistic repertoire by being, let's say, faced with different people, different plot lines, different words from different types of text and all of that, and also just going beyond what is obvious, I think, because that's the thing that I think amazing, brilliant authors can do really well. We can go back to Shakespeare. Shakespeare didn't have a bunch of expressions to express what he wanted, so he created them. There are a lot of
Yeah.
things we use today, like one of my favorites is a wild goose chase, that makes a lot of sense. And again,
Yeah.
the guy was a master with words, so
Yes.
let's give him that. But at the same time, you need to have that linguistic repertoire to understand those things, so, and again, that is prior knowledge in a way. And what worries me and Rudy and a lot of people should be worried the same is that we don't go beyond the obvious and we don't question the headline. And I wanted to give you an example that is actually kind of, well, I would say very concerning, and I don't want you guys to hate us for what I'm about to say. But anyway,
Oh, dude, what
okay.
you're gonna do?
Oh my God.
Be
I'm
careful.
gonna
Uh-oh.
cure for paralysis. So here's the
Uh-oh.
thing. Everybody knows, everybody has been following on social media, TV, Roda Viva had an episode, a special with Dr. Tatiana Sampaio, right? So she is a researcher at UFRJ, the Federal University of Rio, who's been working for 2 decades, basically, with the possibility of, well, I don't want to say curing, but yeah, that's the aim, at least, of her project, aiming, lesions or problems, let's say, in people's medulla, right? So
Yes.
paralysis connecting to, accidents or other problems that can actually trigger some sort of paralysis. So it's amazing, hopeful. However, what has been propagated in the news and on especially social media is that she has actually found a substance, a chemical called polylaminin that actually can, or even has, some people have mentioned, cured paralysis in a way. Because, okay, there were a couple of people who had some sort of injury in their back. And then they took the substance and then went back to, walking again, let's say. The problem is, what people don't realize is that they're just reading the headline of something that is incredibly complex and that doesn't even belong to that person's particular lexical repertoire, because how much does that person even know about biomedicine and, research in developing pharmaceuticals? And so here's the thing. So and of course, the media has a lot, the press in general, let's say, has a lot to do with how people kind of propagate that as fake news. So it's a very good piece of news if you think about it. Maybe we have a Nobel Prize winner, someday because of the development of this pharmaceutical that can cure this injury. But it's not like that, folks. You got to be very careful. There is a whole process that needs to happen before you can actually release pharmaceuticals that work, because that's how the scientific method works. And we have to be very careful. This is one example. Like, we can talk about more. Be careful when you go to the headline. You have just read the obvious and you start propagating stuff that you really don't know about. You don't know how that stuff works, and that's what's going on now.
That doesn't mean,
Yeah.
guys, that doesn't mean
Yeah.
we shouldn't celebrate the accomplishments of the doctor. That's not what we're
Exactly.
saying. We definitely have to celebrate. She knows the whole process she's going through. She definitely knows that. What we're saying, and we're just using this example because, of course, there's a lot of people say, "Oh, it's a cure, it's a cure." In this case, I completely understand why there's a lot of people saying it's a cure, because this is something very complex, extremely complex. Not only to talk about on a daily basis, but also to promote and all these things. We should celebrate. We will celebrate. We are celebrating, period. But what Andre is saying is that there's more to that. Again,
Yeah.
that's the tip of the iceberg. There's of course a lot more instances that she has to go through,
Yeah.
uh, bigger samples. She's definitely
Yeah.
going to collect. I think she's still collecting. I know
Yeah.
because we tried to do something similar, with our research proposal. Uh, so um, you have to collect bigger samples.
Yeah.
And then
And
analyze.
and
She probably
there are
has
so many stages, right?
oh
Yeah.
man, there are
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
stages. Yes, yes.
Just to give a short example, normally when you develop, something that is safe in terms of pharmaceutical, like drugs that can be used for the treatment of whatever, what you have to do is to have a randomized clinical trial. So
Yeah,
basically, you have a control group. So the control group receives no intervention. They actually receive a placebo,
yeah,
which is a pill that doesn't have anything, like could be sugar or something that
yeah,
doesn't have the action mechanism that deals with that particular injury. And then you have a group that receives the actual pharmaceutical. The thing is, because it's randomized, the groups don't know. The
yeah,
people in the groups, the subjects, they don't know if they are part of the control group or the group that received the intervention. Neither do the doctors who administer the drug, because you have to avoid every kind of bias. So,
yeah,
if I know that I'm actually giving this person a placebo, so I know that it's not going to cause any effect, will the person be able to read that from my
hmm,
expression every day when I give them the drug?
yeah,
And it's randomized. And not only that, so again, guys, it takes years sometimes for you to get to some, because here's the thing, there are many types of injury, and some of them have what we call spontaneous remission.
hmm,
And so maybe they were not too severe, and with very little treatment or other types of treatment, the person is going to get better anyway. So then, if the person receives this, polylaminin and gets better, did the person get better because of the drug or because they were going to get better anyway?
yeah,
So you
yeah.
cannot establish causality there. So guys, it's far more complex than you imagine. Let's stop. Like Rudy said, we are celebrating if it works and it becomes a
Yeah,
drug that can be commercialized and can help people. That's awesome. We want
yes.
that, right? But
Bottom,
be
bottom
careful.
line, yes. Bottom
Careful.
line is
you know.
read,
Yeah. Yes.
read,
Read.
read the whole
Exactly.
thing. That's what.
Yeah. Don't read just
you know.
the abstract of the,
Yeah.
there, and the papers are not even good. That's the problem. There
Oh
there
no! Don't
there
get me started with the
there,
papers,
there
man.
are
Don't
you
get me
know
started with the papers,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
But as you were saying, I was thinking this is one of the reasons why comic books are so good.
Yeah,
Because
definitely, yeah.
no, seriously, because I mean, they are, again, I'm going to retrieve the word that I used some minutes ago. They're so
Yeah.
compelling.
Oh
Because when you
yeah.
buy a book, for instance, when you get this W Books title, Animal Farm, the cover is amazing. It's a beautiful
Absolutely, yeah.
cover. Uh, Great content, of course, and it's Animal Farm, guys. Come on, I don't have to, convince you to read Animal Farm. It's a must read, but it's a cover, and then there's the graphics, and there's the title, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But when you get a comic book in your hand, and then you have, unfortunately, all my comic books are, you know what I'm talking about, but they are in a different place here in my office. I cannot get one of them right now. But when you have a comic book in your hand, uh, they compel you to go beyond the title, or to,
Yeah.
in this case, the title would work as the headline for the comic book. So, for instance, when you get Daredevil, when making a connection with the newly released season of the Daredevil, if you
Oh
really like,
yeah,
do
yeah.
it. It's
Awesome.
freaking amazing.
Charlie Cox
The
looks
second,
good.
no, the second season just started this week.
Yeah.
The first episode is super awesome. You gotta
Yeah.
watch it. It's really amazing. But it's based. I mean, the Daredevil is called The Man Without Fear, and there is a book. There's a comic book
Yeah.
called
Exactly.
Daredevil, The Man Without Fear. Uh, it's so compelling that makes you open it, sit down, sit on your butt, and actually read the whole comic book. Like, whoa,
Yeah.
because then you have the combination of words, and then you have the title, and then you have the drawing, and then you feel like, oh my God, I gotta see, why is the daredevil the man without fear? What's the daredevil gonna do? What's he gonna be
Yeah,
involved in this book? And then it compels you to do that.
absolutely,
Book
man.
covers work similarly
And
in a different
titles, like you
way.
mentioned, titles, and here's a question for you, man. I think you can
For
answer this. This
me,
is from actually, it was from a student of mine, but you should answer this. He said, Alexandre, thank you so much for being here with us. This is a great question. Yes, and still thinking, how does encountering William Shakespeare or any other author challenge the limits of your own language and voice, right? So I'm asking Rudy to answer this because language and cognition. So here's the cool. I will just say one thing about this, and I think we kind of covered a little bit when we talked about Machado de Assis, and I even mentioned Luis de Camões, and
yeah,
it's the idea when you read classics that they have very complex language and terms that may have been used for a while but are not used anymore. It that adds a lot to your linguistic repertoire, right? You have to understand.
yes,
I mean, if you do it right, a lot of people will go through them, won't bother, they won't learn
yeah,
anything. But if you're geeks and nerds like us, you will want to know what those things mean, right? And that will
exactly.
add to your linguistic repertoire. And I think in a way you have more language to talk about the world, nature, the universe. You
Yeah.
have more
In the
stuff, right?
case of
Yeah,
Shakespeare, because it's, I mean, it's way far back in time. So I don't think, linguistically speaking, we would incorporate certain, maybe I don't know, words or expressions
yeah,
or collocations, because it's way back in the days, like way back in the days. I'm talking
yeah,
about 15th century. It's way back in time. But it does incorporate in terms of voice. Yes, it does, because it makes you understand new things. It makes you understand, for example, what Shakespeare was talking about.
yeah.
And if you understand what Shakespeare was talking about, this is another prior knowledge you're going to retrieve. Actually, I talk about concepts all the time because language is all about concepts. Cognitive linguistics is all about concept creation, meaning formation, and all these things. So when you read Shakespeare, even though you're not going to linguistically retrieve constructions, because we're again 15th century, uh, you're going to understand what he was trying to say. And because you are going to understand what he was trying to say, you can connect with some current events, let's say, because everything is a pendulum.
Yeah.
Everything that happens can happen again now in 2026, and then I don't know, maybe 50 years in time, it will be happening again. So you see,
It's timeless if you
and
think
then
about it.
people.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons why Shakespeare is a genius,
And
basically.
so current,
So
right? Yeah.
exactly. So maybe you're reading a piece of news about the whole crazy situation we've been living these days, and then you say, "Oh yeah, so Shakespeare said this somewhere, some in some books." Wow, this
Yeah.
is so good. So when it adds to the voice in this case, in this sense, not necessarily in the language itself, but it in the concept, in
Yes.
understanding that, wow, whoa, wait a minute. So this happened 200, 300 years ago in Europe, and now it's happening something similar after 300 years. It's happening again, and somehow I'm checking the YouTube here. I disappeared, but now I'm back.
Yeah, no, no, it's working. I'm checking here
It
too.
is,
But
right?
dude,
Yes.
you said it. And I want to say something that one of my favorite Shakespearean plays is actually Hamlet. And
Yeah.
the reason why is because it has to do with my heritage in a way, because it's the king of Denmark who's murdered by his uncle.
I
So
wonder
my
why.
dad was Swedish, right? So and then the prince of Denmark, Hamlet, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of caught in the middle of this crazy thing, and he sees the ghost of his father, and he believes he's getting crazy. Like it's a lot about paranoia, and then
Yeah.
who's on his side, right? is his uncle trying to murder him as well, and as most Shakespearean plays, I mean, it was either tragedy or comedy, right? So this is definitely a tragedy, right? And the cool thing about this, and I don't think a lot of people know this, Hamlet is, some people actually accused Shakespeare of plagiarizing a 12th century Scandinavian poem.
Oh, that's true.
That was actually called Amleth. So even the title Hamlet is an anagram of Amleth. And nowadays a beautiful movie came out called Hamnet, which it was directed by a Chinese director, Chloe Zhao, right? Yeah. And produced by Steven Spielberg, by the way. So you guys should watch it. And it's very beautiful. It tells the story of how. But here's the crazy thing, right? Even though there's a lot of prior knowledge and linguistic repertoire there, they kind of distorted the whole historical background. So it's a beautiful movie.
It's Hollywood, dude. It's Hollywood.
It's beautiful. I actually cried when I watched it. It was nice. So I was like, okay, but it gives you the impression that Hamlet was written because of Shakespeare's loss of his boy, whose name was Hamnet. And then it kind of, so all that pain that was building up slowly and separation, whatever, led Shakespeare to write Hamlet. And then again, maybe there's a level of truth there, but it's much more, even Sir Ian McKellen, who's done, Gandalf, right? The guy's a legend. He's done a million. He's a
Magneto. He is Gandalf.
He's a Shakespearean actor, So
he is man. He's so good.
No, this guy. He criticized the movie. I think he was the only one who said it's kind of silly or ridiculous to think that Shakespeare's brilliance had anything to do with his mundane life. That he had to go through those. Sorrows and sufferings in his life to be able to write. So, but I think, what I'm trying to say is that even Shakespeare had to read something to build his prior knowledge, and maybe he had to live something, experience something in his life to put those things together and create probably the most famous play in the history of plays in the whole world, Hamlet, right? So that's the thing. You can't do, I was going to say a bad word. You can't do stuff
language
without prior knowledge, linguistic repertoire, guys,
And let me ask you something, dude. I mean, did you go straight to the film or you actually read the book first?
So I went straight to the film. All right. So
that's pretty much what we do, right? That's pretty much what we do these days. We wait for the film and then that's when I'm not saying that we shouldn't go for the film, okay? We're all movie fans here.
Oh yeah.
We were talking a couple of minutes before we went on that yesterday I finally watched The Sinners. It's a great film. Great soundtracks, great score. Man, it's everything's really, really good. Even
Rudy, who's a major fan of X-Men, he's got some of the early comic books, even you felt a little like this is not going to work with the first X-Men in relation to Wolverine. Because you felt like maybe he's not the right guy, but that changed.
That completely changed. He nailed it.
Second movie, okay?
Yeah,
but
so that's the thing.
Yeah,
I'm a comic book reader since I remember myself as a person. I still have my old comic books, as you said. I'm a collector. I still collect my comic books. I still read comic books. Yeah. And one of the things that really made my day in the first X-Men movie was to see Wolverine's claws getting out of his hand.
Yeah,
because there's a scene that's there's a close-up scene.
Yeah,
and the claws are actually no, I don't think it was in the octagon. It was in a bar where the claws are
the first time. Okay, yeah, that's true.
Literally coming out of his hand.
Yeah,
I had pictured that so many times in my mind when I read the comic books. And don't get me wrong, the first film came out in the early 2000s. If I'm not wrong, it was the year 2000. And I had read at least 10 years of comic books when the movie came out. So I had 10 years picturing this in my mind when I was reading the comic books and etc. So the thing is, when you go straight to the movie,
Yeah.
it kind of has this a similar experience as reading the headline only. Why?
Yeah. There
Because
you go.
because when you read the book, I mean, the order doesn't make any difference in this case, I would say. But when you actually have both experiences in the theaters and in your room or anywhere you can sit your butts and read the book,
Yeah.
when you read the book is different. It's a different
Absolutely.
experience. It's richer. It's way richer. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I also happen to be a super huge fan of Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Duh, of
You and
course
me
I
both,
am.
man.
We're
Oh,
all,
we're major Star Wars geeks, guys.
we
Like,
are
oh,
super Star
I
Wars
have
geeks here.
a lightsaber somewhere here. Yeah.
My daughter asked, I swear, I didn't push it.
Yeah.
She said, my daughter,
Yeah.
some months ago, she said, Dad, how can I get a lightsaber?
Oh,
She asked me, and of course,
this
she
is
got a lightsaber.
parenting done right, folks.
Ah,
Listen to
man,
Rudy.
I nailed it. I don't have to do anything else anymore. I
You
mean,
just have to
I'm done.
brainwash your daughter, but in the good way,
But
about
that's
the
the thing. I
geeky
did.
stuff
No,
that
but
you
I
like.
did. That's the thing. I
You just
didn't. That's the thing.
expose her,
I just didn't.
introduce her.
I
Yeah.
didn't do anything. And
See?
she came and she sent. But anyway, in the first trilogy, the OG trilogy
yeah,
of Star
yeah,
Wars with
definitely. Yeah.
Luke and Darth Vader and
A New
Leia and
Hope,
etc.
Empire Strikes Back,
Yes,
and Return of the Jedi.
the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, I bought the book because Star Wars was meant to be a book first. George Lucas wanted it to be a book.
Yeah.
He never, I mean, because he didn't have the technology at that time to
Yeah.
do everything that we know nowadays. He
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
have the technology. And then he said, okay, so I don't have the technology to do what I want to do. So let's make it a book. Because then in the book, and that's not me, you can check the documentaries about the trilogies about Star Wars. They're there. It's George Lucas. He said in the book, I don't need technology to describe the worlds and to describe the universes,
Yeah.
to describe characters, to describe the technology. I don't need that. I just need words. And I bought the book. I have the book here.
Oh,
It's
look at
here.
that.
And it's so interesting because sometimes I get caught, I catch myself
Yeah.
reading a chapter. I know what the scene is about. I know what happens
Yeah.
in the film because in this case it was impossible to read the book first because the movie came first.
But you visualize Mark Hamill as
That's the
Luke.
thing. That's the thing. Sometimes no, I don't because
Yeah.
I'm so caught up in the book
Yeah.
and the descriptions. And there are differences that I forget that Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker and vice versa.
Yeah.
Basically.
There you go.
So that's why it's so important to read
Yeah.
things
And
because
bro,
it brings you descriptions. It brings you
Yeah.
levels of detail that maybe in the theaters, maybe in the film,
Yeah.
not that you're not going to see them, you will, but you have to pause the film and analyze,
Yeah. it
scene by
nurtures
scene,
imagination.
shot exactly.
Yeah.
But when you're reading it as you interact with the words, it's automatic. You bring stuff.
Absolutely.
You understand. You think, okay, maybe when they are describing a scenario, that's one of the reasons why I love Edgar Allan Poe because he's very
Oh,
detailed in
yeah.
this
Yeah.
in everything he writes.
I
And
have a
when he
great
describes
tales here by Poe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when
Somewhere.
he describes
Yeah.
furnitures and the texture, everything comes to my mind as I'm interacting with the
Dude.
words, and I think about, oh, maybe that's how this is the setting. This is how the furnitures are set in the room. Maybe
Absolutely.
It's so great. And
Yeah.
again, I'm talking about Star Wars. It's almost impossible to understand that Luke Skywalker is Mark Hamill and vice versa.
And
But
man,
yes, it is possible.
absolutely. And you were talking about comic books and Star Wars, and we can think about graphic novels because there's a different layer.
Ooh,
Because when you're reading comic books in general, you got the illustration right in front of you, and you have the speech bubbles, and then of course when you watch the movie, even though you've been reading comic books, some people who are more purists, let's say, they want the character to be exactly as the character that was depicted
oh
in the
yeah,
comic book. Same thing for Star Wars, graphic novels, and all of that. But what happens when you're reading a book without any illustration or just a few illustrations,
yeah.
Then you have to put your mind to work hard to create those characters, those scenarios, right? And this is like, I was reading this book now, catabasis or catabasis, which is a Greek word for the descent to the underworld, going back to hell, going to
Greek
hell and
word.
coming back, basically,
Greek
right?
word. Do we have to drink because it's a Greek word?
Oh
A
yeah,
Greek
it's a
word?
Greek word. But dude, we said so many. But yeah. But here's the thing. I had to imagine those characters, even though there are some illustrations like the maps of hell, but I had to
Yeah.
imagine those characters. And this is something weird that, so for me and for some people, depending, if you had, if you have never read the novels, but you watched something that was an adaptation of that. So and then I start reading the novels, for me, sometimes if the character was played by that specific actor or something who's a very famous person, I might actually see that person in my mind, as the character sometimes, So it's kind of like somebody did the thinking, the imagination for me. And,
Yeah.
and then I just had to kind of consume that more passively. Of course, I am, trying to put things together as I'm watching. But with a book, you have that extra layer of difficulty that you have to imagine the characters, the scenarios, and so on, right? And that's how rich the experience of reading is. So,
Yes.
guys, we have to start wrapping up. Our
Yes.
message is this: read more.
Yes. And get your
Yeah.
students read more as well. Tasia asked almost in the very beginning of today's episode about
Yeah.
the giveaway. We had some technical glitches
Oh
to
yeah.
conduct the book giveaway, Tasia. But we're still giving away the books, all right? We're still giving away 2 titles. We're going to explain this in a bit as soon as we wrap up here. But that's so bottom line here to wrap up. This is why a
Yeah.
lot of students read fast but understand nothing, because they scratch the surface. They stick to the headline and they don't read the entire text. They don't read the full text. They don't go for the details. Sometimes
Absolutely.
they watch the film and they say, okay, no, I know everything that happens in
Yeah.
the Lord of the Rings. Maybe
Which is a
no, I don't
complex
think you
book. Yeah.
do. I mean, don't get me wrong, amazing films. The OG
Oh
trilogy
yeah.
is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Uh,
Peter
it's
Jackson
super
nailed it.
awesome. Peter
Yeah.
Jackson nailed it. Of course he did. But
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, you're not going to be an expert on Tolkien just because you watch the films. You're not
Yeah.
going to be an expert in Star Wars just because you watch the films. There's way more to it. The universe is more complex. There's a much more detail. And the
Yeah.
same thing with texts. You're not going to be an expert in whatever just by
Yeah.
reading the headline. And we teachers, language teachers, it's our core responsibility to avoid that, to
Yeah.
kill this situation, to kill this
Yeah.
this current happening that we've had. We have to kill it by doing what? By designing a more effective reading activities in the classroom with our students,
Absolutely.
kids, teens, adult learners. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility to do that,
And
right?
man, it's how they also develop prior knowledge. We talked so much about
Yes.
prior knowledge. Tolkien was a linguist, so he knew how languages worked as he wrote, his many sagas, right? The Hobbit, the Lord of the
Yes.
Rings. So he created languages for different creatures in his universe. And George Lucas, dude, George Lucas, he got inspired by the work of Akira Kurosawa. Why are there, swords in space and
Yeah.
people dressed like samurai? So
Yeah.
what about the link to Taoism and Buddhism? He was also inspired by the Viet Congs, and the Vietnam War and the Rebel Alliance, right? So stop thinking that people can come up with things from thin air. They base
Mhm.
whatever they're coming up with on prior knowledge, the stuff they
Yes.
already know. And they only know about those stuff because they read about those things, So
Exactly.
that it's a loop, man. You got to read to develop prior knowledge so you can read better and so on and so forth, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, so it's time to wrap up here, guys. And okay, so before we do that, let me. By the way, Alexandre, thank you so much. Tasia,
Oh,
Adriana,
yes.
Fabiana, thank you so much, and everyone that's following us right now. Didn't have a chance to interact with us in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. We were supposed to give away 2 books today. All
Yeah.
right. We're not, because we had some glitches along the way, actually in the last 2 or 3 weeks since we announced that. We're still going to do that. Okay. So
Yeah.
we're giving away 2 titles by W Books, Ciranda Cultural's label for amazing selection of books
Oh,
in
yeah.
English.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. We
Seriously.
have a couple. We got a
As
beautiful
I
box.
showed you, 2
Yeah.
titles.
Yeah.
They're
Rudy
here
showed
because
a couple. Yeah.
I'm trying to manage to read them both at the same time.
Cool.
Not a very
So
good
George
idea.
Orwell and Mary Shelley together.
Yes,
Okay. All
not a very
right.
good idea. I'm trying to
All
do
right.
something that I never did before, but it's not a
Yeah.
very good idea. It's hard to read 2
Yeah.
books at the same time.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Definitely.
we are giving away 2 books. In order for you guys, and we're not giving away the same titles. Okay, these are
Yeah.
my titles. I'm reading these books. So what do you guys need to do if you want to get 2 amazing titles? Actually, dude, I think you can you get the titles, because I think we have the titles, but I don't remember. As I explained,
Yeah. I think we
can
have.
you rescue that
Let
and
me see
help
if I
me,
have the
please?
titles here.
Because I'm going to explain what you guys need to do.
Yeah.
We have the titles, but I'm
We have the
old. I
titles.
forgot.
Okay.
We have the titles. So let me explain what you guys need to do.
Yeah.
The idea is, I want you guys to make a very short video. It can be in a story format for Instagram, or even a short reel video for Instagram as well. How you encourage your students to read. It can be done in the classroom, but please, please cover your student's face, because we don't want to get you into any trouble. So, show us how you do that. Tasia's already done that. She was the first one to do
Yeah.
that. Okay. So Tasia, you're here. You're still in the game. All right.
Yeah.
Do that.
Can I
How are
say
you
the name?
going to?
Go
Yes.
ahead. Go
What are the
ahead.
titles? Okay.
Okay. We're gonna select from 4 titles. We're gonna give
No,
away
no,
2 books.
no.
But
But we have 2 titles. We
yeah,
already
but
have the 2 titles.
we do. But
Yet
we actually have a.
Lyrica said.
Yeah, Lyrica sent a list with 4 titles, so we have to select from those 4.
No, she
Okay.
already picked. She already picked 2. It's in the
Okay.
group.
Did she? Okay.
Yes, she did.
So
She did.
okay, because the last message I got here has 4 titles from
Okay,
her.
so you keep explaining what they need to do. I'll find the titles. You go ahead. You keep
Yeah,
explaining.
yeah. Okay, so basically, folks. So where did you stop? Because here's what we're gonna
Yeah.
do.
So I was explaining the video. They record a video showing how
Yeah.
they've been encouraged their students to read
So
more.
basically, first things first. You have to follow all of us involved. Okay, so on social media, follow me, the Learning Cosmos. Follow Mattiello
Thank you.
Consultoria, Ciranda Cultural, W Books, and Disal. Make sure you follow us. And then you have to show us what kind of activity you're doing with your groups to develop reading, okay? So you have to post a video, and don't worry about, showing your students. You can blur their faces so we don't, I know there's some concerns with their privacy and all of that. And then you're going to have to post that, tag us, so that we can look at, the most creative video, the most interesting initiative, so we can select the books. But aren't there 4?
Yes, you're
There are
absolutely
4,
right.
right?
There are
So I
4.
think we're gonna have to select from those 4 the 2
Exactly.
books. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read. Okay, you go ahead. You read the first 2 titles, and I'll read the last 2 ones because the last
I
one is one of my
mentioned one
favorites.
already. One of my favorites. So I have the first here, The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is an amazing book, and the second one is Hamlet.
Yes.
Right. So I was
And
talking about it.
then
Yeah.
yes, and then the other one that's on
Yeah.
the list is Wuthering Heights or Wuthering Heights, if you prefer,
Yes.
and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. So
Exactly.
these are the 4 titles that
Yeah.
have been selected. We're gonna pick 2, and we're gonna give away 2. But
Yeah.
next month, and we're gonna do this next month in April. Okay, in the next episode of Chá Pedagógico. But the thing is,
Huge
the next episode of
classics.
Chá Pedagógico is
Yeah.
going to be super, super, super special because next
Yeah.
month is BECH, the most important educational conference in Latin America. Let's say maybe the world, but let's say Latin America.
Yeah.
It's the biggest. And this is going to be our 3rd year with Disal. We're going to be there. We're going to
Yeah.
have a live episode of Chá Pedagógico there, and it will be recorded there. You're going to see us on social media all the time because we're going to record a lot of content for Giselle. You're going to see us. And in this episode, we are going to give away these 2. We're going to select 2
Yeah.
books, and we're going to give
4
away.
classics. We're gonna select 2. Okay.
Yes. And as André was saying, record a short video in a story format or in a reel format, very, very short, how you've been encouraged, how you've been dealing with reading skills with your students.
Yeah.
It can be young learners or adult learners, that doesn't matter. Follow all of us and tag us because we need to have access to the video. And then we're going to select 2 people, and we're going to give away 2 titles by W Books, Ciranda Cultural's amazing label for amazing books. Right, guys?
People, we're talking about Oscar Wilde, Shakespeare, Emily
Jules
Bronte,
Verne.
right? And Jules Verne. So, I mean, major classics, okay? And that's it.
Me?
All right.
I wanted to get these books.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Dude.
So, guys, again, if you haven't followed us, go ahead right now. Follow us on our socials. We've just told you our handles one more time. And in the very beginning of this episode, if you really like this episode, don't forget to hit a thumbs up. It's really important. Share, click on the share button and share this episode with as many people as you can, because this is gonna help the episodes reach more people organically. If you do that in the future. We're gonna be live in São Paulo next month. Okay, for BECH Educar. So if you guys are in São Paulo next month, and if you want to have a sip with tea with us, go to Giselle's booth. We're going to be there. Thank you, Giselle, for that one more time. And, again, the dream team that we have, Lírica, Maria. Maria is on vacation, but okay. Maria, thank you so much for that. Today our oracle is little Oracle. Yes, today the oracle here with us is our little sister Tamiris, who happened to be graduated now. So she got her prom a couple of weeks ago. Congratulations and thank you so much.
And her birthday was the other day. So happy birthday officially live. Okay. All right.
Yes, exactly. Cool. And guys, thank you so much for that. See you in São Paulo for BECH Educar face to face, or you can follow us in our socials as well.
Do we still call it Educar? I think they dropped the Educar now. I just because of it. I don't know, man. I still remember that, but that gives away
that's the thing.
Age.
If I say bet, that's the thing. If I say bet, people are going to think that we're selling,
the bets thing. Yeah.
Yes.
The little tiger thing, right? Okay,
exactly. It sounds weird, so that's why I said BECH Educar.
But that gives away how old you are, because that's that was a couple of decades, at least a decade ago.
Of course. Guys, thank you so much.
Take care,
guys. Take care.